Now let's set the record straight. There's no argument over the choice between peace and war, but there's only one guaranteed way you can have peace, and you can have it in the next second. Surrender. Admittedly, there's a risk in any course we follow other than this, but every lesson of history tells us that the greater risk lies in appeasement. And this is the specter our well-meaning liberal friends refuse to face, that their policy of accommodation is appeasement. And it gives no choice between peace and war, only between fight or surrender. If we continue to accommodate, continue to back and retreat, eventually we have to face the final demand, the ultimatum. And what then? When Nikita Khrushchev has told his people, he knows what our answer will be. He has told them that we're retreating under the pressure of the Cold War, and someday, when the time comes to deliver the final ultimatum, our surrender will be voluntary, because by that time, we will have been weakened from within spiritually, morally, and economically. He believes this because from our side he's heard voices pleading for peace at any price, or better read than dead, or as one commentator put it, he'd rather live on his knees than die on his feet. And therein lies the road to war, because those voices don't speak for the rest of us. You and I know and do not believe that life is so dear and peace so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery. If nothing in life is worth dying for, when did this begin? Just in the face of this enemy? Or should Moses have told the children of Israel to live in slavery under the Pharaohs? Should Christ have refused the cross? Should the patriots at Concord Bridge have thrown down their guns and refused to fire the shot heard round the world? The martyrs of history were not fools. And our honored dead, who gave their lives to stop the advance of the Nazis, didn't die in vain. Where then is the road to peace? Well, it's a simple answer after all. You and I have the courage to say to our enemies, there is a price we will not pay. There is a point beyond which they must not advance. Winston Churchill said the destiny of man is not measured by material computations. When great forces are on the move in the world, we learn they're spirits, not animals. And he said there's something going on in time and space and beyond time and space, which, whether we like it or not, spells duty. You and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We'll preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness.
Welcome back to the Logbook Podcast. I'm Kim.
I'm Dakota. With us tonight, we have Mr.
Before we begin tonight's show, we have something very, very special for all of you. We have Veterans for Child Rescue. I know we've had a big movie come out recently called The Sound of Freedom. And this is it. This is the reality. This isn't entertainment. I would like to say at this point, if you do have kids in the room, be advised, this is real stuff that is going on. The videos that we are about to show are amazing takedowns, what our veteran community is doing to stop human trafficking. So I just would like to put that disclaimer out. Feel free to comment. Please like, follow, and share this podcast so we can get people involved on how to support to end human trafficking. This is a great organization, guys. They have a 100% conviction rate. And we actually have with us Mr. Tyler Studt, and from Truck It, Mr. Chad Candy to join us.
Oops, I was itching my nose when you joined that. How's everybody doing tonight?
Good. Thank you guys for coming on.
It's been
thank you for having me.
Chad, thanks for coming on. Tyler, it's always
problem.
a pleasure talking to you. And Tyler, we just want everyone to know that Tyler's here to answer any of your questions, any and all questions you have during the film. Go ahead, throw that down in the comments, and Tyler would do his utmost best to get you your answers. Tyler, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself, kind of reintroduce? It's been a while since you've been on.
Yeah, it has been quite a bit. My name is Tyler Studt. I'm a veteran, Army veteran. I served from 2005 to 2013. Got out, joined the outdoors industry, then I started learning about child trafficking through Craig Sawyer. He's a good friend of mine. I've known him for years. He's been very proactive on this mission, and the way he found out was through the intelligence community on the dangers that are happening in his local community where he grew up at. So once he started Contraland and got it out to the public, that's when I started paying attention to it more. Then I was like, well, I'm gonna jump in full force with Craig, after a few other things that happened. But I'm excited, to be able to be here tonight and answer any questions you guys got. If you guys want to know how you guys can help, just get involved in your local communities. That's the main thing. So, you guys have anything for me? Let me know.
Thanks, Tyler. Thanks for all of that. Well, are we ready to get started?
Yes. So what we are going to be watching is Veterans for Child Rescue's documentary. Hi, Ruth. How are you doing?
Hey, Ruth.
It's good to see you. Thank you for joining in. So what we're going to do is we're going to watch their documentary. Trigger warnings, but you're a fine American patriot, so you can handle it. And y'all really want to know what's going on, and this is it. That's all I'd like to say. So let's go ahead and bring it up. Okay.
Years I worked alongside Andy Griffith at Matlock. I played a lawyer whose job was to defend the innocent. That, of course, was fiction. But the reality of innocent human beings needing to be defended from evil and evil people has never been greater. Right beneath our noses, all across America, in every community, large and small, there's an epidemic, and I don't use that word lightly, of young girls and boys being sold and bought as sex toys. They're trafficked like drugs, inanimate objects for the pleasure of the buyer. It's become a $38 billion a year industry. These children are contraband, and America has become Contraland.
Hi, Gavin.
The most publicly known child predator is billionaire Jeffrey Epstein. The children that he was using, reportedly ages 12 to 14 years old, these children come from our families. That's where it impacts America. His connection with international political figures, financial figures, and industry made him a threat to them. That may be why he's dead.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. You available?
Yeah, I got two girls, Kelsey and Carrie, both 13, both real fresh.
How much is 2 girls for a half hour?
2 girls for a half hour would normally be $200. I'll do it for $150.
What?
Well, if I had a half hour with one girl, then a half hour with the other girl, and then maybe the two of them together.
Wow.
Wow.
Are you still okay doing that?
Yes, sir, we are, but the girls are sleeping right now. We won't be open until a little bit later on. I believe that we should be able to make ourselves available for you at about 1 o'clock, if that's okay. The normal rate is $100, half an hour, $150 for an hour, unless you want both girls. And then, I'll be willing to bargain with you about that because you seem like such a nice guy. Yeah, these are physically my own girls. I've got a really small operation, but I take real good care of them.
Yeah, it gets confusing. This is like in the middle of nowhere. It's super weird. No, you can come on in. You can go ahead and sit on the couch. I'm going to get a drink. Do you want any water or?
Water's fine.
Okay.
I take really good care of my girls. I like to make sure that they're safe. Be nice to them. There'll be condoms on the bedside table, so you don't have to worry about that. Is that a problem?
No.
Okay.
Lacey, sit down. Sit down.
It's where that kid needs to be in the dark.
Cuffs, 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 cuffs.
Craig Sawyer.
So Tyler, I wanted to. Oh, hey, Chad's back. I wanted to ask a question. That was that a reenactment?
No, it was not. That's an actual operation. That's one of our sting templates that we have, and that's what we ran through the whole movie was that same sting template.
So I have a question too. So you're not covering the faces of these sex offenders, are you?
No, why not? Let them be known.
Yep.
I mean, if you harm a child, it should be known.
Thank you
Yeah.
for that.
So guys, just reminders. Again, you can go to Veterans for Child Rescue, Google them, check them out. I know that they have a lot of videos and links there to follow, but just wanted to clarify these are real incidences.
I was
Bring this
wondering
up.
the same thing. I was actually wondering the same thing since it had the full video camera and everything in there.
Yeah, so Ruth is sitting here saying, thank goodness they raided them. So this was not a raid. This is actually a sting operation. So the only person in the wrong is the actual perpetrator, that man in that orange jacket. Everyone else is working to set these people up. So those girls are in zero danger. They're surrounded by...
Well, I wouldn't say zero.
Well,
danger.
not zero danger, but very low amount of danger. Surrounded by police, ex-military, former special forces. They are completely, they have as much protection as they possibly can.
But there is risk because you don't know if there's weapons on them probably coming up. And I would like to tell, those are young girls.
Those are
and
very
they're
young
putting
girls.
themselves in danger. Fantastic. Well done, ladies. Well freaking done.
So the collar is the one they're stinging then, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That that operation I believe was done up in Connecticut, if I remember right.
No, I believe that was Utah. That one.
Oh, was it Utah? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get back into this. Sorry to interrupt everything. I just want to make things clear. These are real instances.
Is the most qualified individual to handle the mission for interdicting child predators and child sex traffickers. Former Marine, former Navy SEAL, not just Special Warfare SEAL, but a member of SEAL Team 6, federal law enforcement officer from the standpoint of being a federal air marshal, plus working on an individual basis with other government agencies.
I feel like as a warrior, I've been a Marine, I've been a Navy SEAL, I grew up as a fighter, and I realized that, man, I'd spent the first half of my life going up against terrorists, serving as a counter-terrorist operator in the counter-terrorist unit, and that was a worthy contribution. But as I learned more about child trafficking and the harm and abuse of the most precious and innocent and helpless and defenseless, I just realized that I couldn't look myself in the mirror without doing what I could to combat those who are harming the children. Who am I if I can't stand up for the smallest and most defenseless and most innocent and precious among us? What kind of warrior can't even look after a child?
I was freshly 17 and grew up in a single parent home, so I never met my dad. So when I met this guy who said all the right things, and he took everything that he knew about me and used it against me. Like, I had to do it, or else I was gonna lose something that I felt like was holding me together, because I was still a kid. The most horrible things that happened when I was out there was at the hands of the buyers, and they prey on that, and they just do whatever they want. They're hurting people, and they're doing years and years and years of damage.
Lifetimes, baby. It's lifetimes. It's okay.
As a former Navy SEAL, I'm wired for direct action. And I know that for this kind of work, especially dealing with cartels, I'd need a team of guys I could depend on for high threat security.
Everybody ready to do it again, guys? Yeah. I'm ready. Yeah.
So I put together what I called the Viper Team, Veterans Interdicting Pedophile Rings. Former special operators, all very highly skilled and highly intelligent. Every one of them wanted to stop child trafficking.
Yeah, nice.
After a couple of days getting dialed in at the range, we were ready to deploy. When I discovered that thousands of children, little boys and girls, were being brought across our southern border to be sold for sex, I felt this is where I needed to go first, the Big Hole Valley.
So you got this peak right off of our 10 o'clock over here? I think that's Scout Hill. I'm going to show you these Scout Hills here. This would be extremely difficult to find these scouts hiding in these mountains. You know, there's little caves and stuff up in there, and they tuck themselves back in there, and they're very good at what they do. The better they are, the more they make from the cartel. So not this peak, but this one right over here, and mostly on the south side. Yep, I'm going to put it on your side, and we're going down.
Between 2006 and 2012, 75,000 children were brought into the United States and probably put into the pedophile pipeline.
When author Tom Clancy created his legendary spy character, Jack Ryan, Clancy based him on a composite of 4 real-world intelligence operatives. But Jack Ryan was mostly inspired by one man, Jack Farmer. He is one of the top intelligence, counterterrorism, and criminal investigative specialists in the world.
Drugs and alcohol are used by pedophiles in a grooming system for these children. They're used to groom them, to initiate them into pedophilia for the purpose of rape, and also to control them. After a while, they develop addictions, and from the addictions, then they see a way to cope. After a certain period of time, though, some of them just can't cope. They will commit suicide.
If you don't have it,
After completing their aerial reconnaissance, Craig and his Viper team coordinate with federal and local law enforcement, who are firsthand experts in how and where traffickers are exploiting our.
I just wanted to make a note that comment that Jack Farmer said about the suicide. That is very real because these victims, they go through very traumatic experiences. And it's very similar to a veteran with PTSD. With the traumatic stress that they go through, that's very rigorous. So they do subject to self-harm. And just so you guys know, there is one survivor that's in this documentary that is no longer with us from that.
Oh, wow. So that brings up a very good point. Do you think it's honestly beneficial that it's kind of how iron sharpens iron in a way that there are veterans there who kind of know trauma like that along with these victims? Do you think it actually builds each other up?
Yeah, it does. I believe so.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So what are the resources that these victims have for mental health?
So you'll see here in the documentary, like we have some strategic partners like Rancho Milagro, Soul Survivor, and some of these other places. You know, what we do is we try to reach out to these resources of that actually handle the aftercare a little bit better. Because what we do is we take down predators and arrest them and stuff, and get the victims over to a safe place. So we try to get them out of danger as quick as possible and over to as much safety as they can for their recovery journey.
All right. Okay, cool. Well, we're going to go ahead and continue it, okay?
All right.
Yeah, do you got anything you want to add in?
I think he kind of answered what I was asking.
Oh, okay. All right, then. Well, let's get going.
Borders.
For wearing all that camouflage was try to conceal his heat signature on FLIR.
The Viper team then works up a mission plan in their Tactical Operations Center. Then it's off to the border to do some more recon, expecting to encounter the traffickers in action.
All right, we're about to roll into the Vico Valley in Arizona, close to the southern border. It goes from Arizona to San Diego, California. It's the most significant hotbed of activity of illegal migration and narcotics and human trafficking into the continental United States. So even our federal and local law enforcement won't roll into there without multiple vehicles and significant support. So we should be able to get a look at what's going on there, but we'll definitely have to watch our six.
I don't think I could ever make my way across here. Could you?
Next to impossible, huh?
Yeah, it's impossible.
If you have a 5-year-old daughter in the United States, this is what stops her from going to Mexico and being raped. If you live in Mexico and you have a 5-year-old daughter, this is what stops her from being trafficked into the United States for these perverts to rape her. It's that simple. That's reality.
The Viper team's goal is to locate the cartel spotters and make it harder for them to get their human cargo across the border and into the U.S. For many young kidnapped boys and girls coming through Mexico, this is where their journey begins.
Well, if I wanted to know who was coming in here, I'd have someone up there because it's easy to drop them off and pick them up if they're living here in town or something, to have them up there watching. But otherwise, push them further back with high-powered optics to see the dust trails of the vehicles coming in, and they'll be able to count vehicles and see if it's law enforcement, SUVs, or what kind of activity that they could expect from that.
There are about 75 cartel organizations that are controlling and trafficking women and children. Now, this is slavery, something that we had controlled and gotten rid of 100, 150 years ago.
Craig and his team move in to conduct recon in an area where all major mountaintops are occupied by cartel spotters.
This is where we're camped out right now. There's 2 drops on the north side, and there's 1 drop on the south side. This is where the scout's sitting that we were told about yesterday.
Right.
If he's sitting up there, that's a good sign that there's groups being pushed through.
That is a warning.
So I wanted to talk about like what we just saw there with the bone in the shoe. I was actually at where the Texas government came in and actually went to the border at Eagle Pass. And I saw pictures of streets with like melted torsos, arms, limbs, just scattered everywhere. Tyler, is that normal to see that when you're out there?
I believe so. I personally have not been down on the border with Craig and the team, but I believe that it actually does happen quite often. I remember hearing Craig talk a lot about, finding body parts and, children clothing. You'll see here in a minute some things that they found as well. But, this type of stuff is very brutal, and it's all over down there on the border.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And just to reiterate, when Craig was showing how easy it is to get across the border, literally when we were down there at the Texas-Mexico border in Eagle Pass, there was just an open gate. It was fenced. There was concertina wire over the top, but the gate was wide open.
You can literally, what they do, and we watched it happen, is that they will actually pull the bus across the border, and it's a staging area, and you can see the tire tracks too. They pull it across the border and they just load from there. And
I've
it's
seen that
American
before.
citizens.
I have seen that before.
So, but I just wanted to make sure that, again, this is not dramatized. This is real footage.
This is real footage.
Okay.
It's all 100% real footage. I mean, they were lucky to even get the footage back. That's another story, but yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like seeing some of the things they have.
All right, we're gonna get back into it then.
Again. Really? Which game?
MS-13.
MS-13? American soil. A warning by MS-13 that this is their territory. I gotta clean this up.
A bit farther down, the team arrives at an active border crossing spot.
So here's one area of U.S.-Mexico border that there's literally a gate. You walk straight into the United States from this gate. So if I were to step right there, that literally would be Mexico. Now, last time I was down here, see this rickety little barbed wire fence up this hillside. There was literally little to no barbed wire at all, just a couple strands almost laying on the ground. That actually has been repaired a bit since I was down here. There are some minor improvements being made. I mean, this is, folks, this is our border.
And in moments, they spot the cartel traffickers with their human contraband. For now, the traffickers' operation is disrupted as they have specific schedules to keep. But once the Viper team leaves, they'll eventually complete their journey straight into the United States. Craig and the team continue their recon patrol into the night to observe more on how the traffickers play their game in that area. Using night vision and thermal image devices, the Viper team was able to report signs of heavy traffic to law enforcement.
This is what they refer to as flat top. And it's another cartel scout location where they keep scouts up there year round. And also right here where I'm sitting, but right off the back side of it, right here, it runs the U.S.-Mexico border. So this is Mexico. And on this side is the United States. But that's it, folks. I mean, a little barbed wire fence.
There he is. You see him? He's walking up on them rocks.
Holy shit, yeah, there he is. Got it. Well, he just turkey peeked right there. I see it. Yeah, you should have left.
And I got to tell you, one of the things that really angered me as a warrior, an American citizen, was seeing that there are cartel scouts that are allowed to live on the mountaintops inside the United States and report with radios and circumvent our law enforcement. And that these cartel scouts live up on these mountains year round, and they're resupplied on a regular basis, and they're allowed to stay there. It's unthinkable. It's ridiculous. Since when do we give the enemy the high ground and just allow them to operate in our own home? How does that come about? I don't get it. There's a wide range of child trafficking victims and perpetrators that we're seeing. We're seeing everything from MS-13 gangbangers, moving kids and teenagers, to high-end sophisticated networks and individuals, and then even families, sadly enough, mothers and fathers sell their own kids. All of it's heartbreaking. The kids lose at every turn. We just got to figure out exactly what we can do about it.
Hey, Sawman, come check this out.
Looks like we just missed dinner.
As we were coming up, they were watching us probably over here. And as we got up, they moved back down the mountain, and we followed suit into their main camp area, which they stage. And they all three had big packs on, carrying dope.
It shut down this little route for a while.
I think the most important thing, man, is we ran across the little kids' tiny backpack, man. Is put things in perspective. Food, little shoes, like unpassable almost, man.
The network is very powerful. Criminals are organized. And I think it's time that we good people organize to fight back for our kids.
Yeah, it's a ticker.
After all, who are we if we can't look after our own offspring?
Horrible. That was horrible.
Yeah, let's take a pause right
There are
there.
multiple things that cause.
Horrible.
Let's talk about that. That is
That is horrible.
oh my God. So would you say how many of these people have you caught like at the border? Or have you caught any?
How many we caught at the border?
Yeah.
That number, I don't know. That usually transfer. I think what Craig does down there is he scouts for the government, I believe. So I'm not 100% sure on the numbers on that.
So he wouldn't be able to do anything about it. He just has to be the lookout for the people.
Pretty
that go
much.
down.
Yeah, I mean, he's not a law enforcement anymore, so you can't really go out there and do things like that.
And then them saying that the scouts are just legally allowed to sit there and scout out pretty much and give spotter information to the to the cartels. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean they're very sophisticated down there on the border. If I don't know how much you guys know about the drug trafficking and the human trafficking that's coming across, but like with the fentanyl, that's a very serious thing. And I forgot what the new drug that's coming out. That's supposed to be like 100 times more powerful. So you got the Communist Party that is supplying these types of new drugs and all this stuff to the Mexican cartels, and they're bringing it over into the U.S. And
That's very typical of Asia because that was done to them through the English. This is a very normal tactic that so I'm Japanese American, and I've actually grown up in a lot of Asian culture, Asian history, and this was a big thing, especially during the French Indo wars. It was a big thing it was easier to take a civilization when they were all addicted to opiates. Yeah. And that's exactly how they did it. And it's being done to us actively as Americans, and no one's paying attention to that historical fact.
Yeah, I agree with that. Is it carfentanil? is what you're talking about,
I
Tyler?
believe so. Yes, I believe
Yeah,
so. I think that's the
I
name
think
of
that's
it.
what it's called.
Right.
Jason Jones brings up a lot of that information. He's a correspondent over at Newsmax. He's a
Mhm.
good friend of ours. He does really good work down there on the border as far as reporting and stuff. So yeah.
Now, I have some friends that are actually on the border right now with Texas border bees, and they've actually seen less coyotes and then more drone activity has taken up to lead people across the border. What are your thoughts
That
on that?
wouldn't surprise me.
That doesn't surprise me at all. I hear a lot of drug trafficking coming across, and it gets stopped majority of the time, but the human trafficking really does not. And I did want to make one point. There's a bill that Congressman Chip Roy is introduced,
Yeah.
where it turns the cartels into FTOs, which is a foreign terrorist organization. In my opinion, that needs to be done.
I did see the hearing on that, and I know that our congressman went toe to toe, and even with Miley, and sat there and say, pretty much acting, they're acting like a terrorist organization. Are you willing? Miley contradicted Lloyd Austin when it came to the border, but I do know that there is legislation to impeach Mayorkas at the border currently going right now. So that's
Well, I know there is legislation. I hope he gets charged or be impeached and charged because
I hope so too. But America, you elected this.
Yeah.
So it's on your shoulders, not just the politicians, is the way I see it.
Oh yeah. Well, why would you need as many coyotes now whenever you're just letting them come across the border anyway?
Exactly.
So now you can just bring the drugs. Hey, we're still making as much money off drugs. They'll just get these people that have no job to come out and sell them now. So,
and all we're doing is incentivizing them, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Give them that free pass.
Yep.
Guys, again, I have it here down on the banner. Here is Veterans for Child Rescue. vetsforchildrescue.org. Please head to their websites if you want to watch this documentary later. And definitely, if you want to help out, volunteer. There's all kinds of information, and there's places that you can donate as well.
Yeah, we have a lot of information on our website. I do ask people just take some time and just go through that website. Everything that we have is on there. Radio shows, just to get more information. So if you want to hear a certain topic of child trafficking or see what types of people are actually in the fight, that's a good way to get in there. Just dig in, and if you got questions, come back and ask me. I'm here as a tool to be able to provide you guys that information.
Yeah, if y'all have any questions, just shoot us a message here at the logbook, and we will get you Tyler's information.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get it going.
Yeah.
This culture of child rape. One of the things is pornography. Another is Alfred Kinsey. Back in the 1950s, he was a self-described sadomasochistic pedophile whose own genitals were mutilated due to what he preferred sexually. So his mind was sick.
Child sex trafficking in the United States really begins back earlier than most people understand. In 1970s, we already had a major campaign in the United States on the issue of child sexual abuse and trafficking, but we didn't call it trafficking at that time.
Dr. Judith Reisman is the founder of the Reisman Institute, which is dedicated to exposing and debunking Alfred Kinsey's fraudulent so-called science regarding child sexuality. She is internationally recognized as an expert witness on human sexuality.
I would have to say the Kinsey reports laid the scientific foundation for abusing kids. In 1948, the groundwork was laid. There was Sexual Behavior in the Human Male, which was Alfred Kinsey wrote Sexual Behavior in the Human Male, funded by the Rockefeller Foundation, supported across the board by Planned Parenthood, all came together with that. So Sexual Behavior in the Human Male. Then in 1953, Sexual Behavior in the Human Female. There was no field of human sexuality education before Kinsey. None. We had the common law that was based our laws on. It was biblical. Okay. When Kinsey came on board, half the states in the union gave the death penalty, could give the death penalty for rape. The other half, life in prison. Now we have all these feminists, properly complaining that that rape is treated, in a casual way. Well, this all comes from something. It all emerges out of something, and that something, that kind of dehumanization that is picked up by the media from the academic world, pushed through the schools, through first just the universities, then the junior high schools, the high schools, then now the kindergarten, all that then lays the groundwork for where we are.
It seems like a percentage of Americans perceive Kinsey as someone who opened up the discussion for sexuality and that was a good thing. But what I think a lot of them fail to see is that he was a sadomasochistic pedophile, and what he did was horrific. And so his studies were falsified. And since they were, it seems to me like his studies and the doctrine that have followed need to be gone back, reversed, denounced, disavowed, and replaced by more wholesome and healthy real science, whatever that actually is, but not to take the falsified studies of a sick mind and accept that as science.
You're talking about a man who, he didn't just use images of children, he used real children. He used real children, and he had charts and graphs of orgasms that a child was supposed to have an orgasm, a 5-year-old, a 4-month-old. One was a 4-year-old that had allegedly had 26 orgasms in 24 hours. Now that's around the clock experiment, right? So this was research that was established and was believed by the American public, by the whole world, really. And the whole thesis behind his research was that children are sexual from birth. Children are sexual from birth, which then gets funneled into the mindset of the public, and it becomes the foundation of human sexuality education. Hugh Hefner, at age 22, he was a virgin in college. He read Kinsey, and that radicalized him. He said, "Oh, Kinsey's the scientist. I will be Kinsey's pamphleteer." So what comes out of Playboy is the stream of pornography, which is at the base of your trafficking world. Absolutely. The stream of pornography. 15 years later, we got Penthouse. 10 years after that, we got Hustler. And then it hasn't stopped, right? But the impetus for that came from the academic world, came from Dr. Alfred Kinsey's fraudulent data.
And look at all the harm it's caused.
Enormous harm. Alfred Kinsey should have been arrested. So should all his teammates have been arrested. The Kinsey Institute's still alive and still educating the public. And now we are seeing the explosion, and the end result is the massive abuse of children, as well as directly related, the trafficking of children, because you can't separate the grooming of children from the trafficking of children.
Most of us start out in the business as children.
Wow.
Wow. Just.
So it's unlike our Democratic colleagues and our liberals. This is truly a multifaceted, because I hate that word.
Oh, good Lord.
It's been thrown around. So everything that we're seeing with the LGBTQ, abortion, sex ed in schools, DEI even, it looks like is just wrapped around this entire ideology from a freaking few pedophilic men.
Yeah. And I can't believe that this guy's institute is still in use today.
Yeah.
And it's still up and running, teaching these methods. And he has published works. It's not like he lied about anything.
Yeah, what I don't understand is that we have a lot of, and I'm play the devil's advocate here. We have a lot of pro-life groups. Okay, we have Texas Right to Life, we have Students for Life, we have all of these organizations, and how they have not come after the Kensington Institute, and a lot of these people have been in office since before my lifetime with these organizations. How they are not actively coming against these institutes is absolutely beyond me. And the fact that it's not being exposed, the root cause of this problem in human trafficking. I'm at the point of learning all this information since I think that these academic types, it's not going to be much longer until they start actively human trafficking from our schools.
Well, here's the thing.
That's what I think.
I don't think these pro-life groups are going after the Kinsey Institute, probably because they don't know about the Kinsey Institute.
No, I will say that after seeing a lot of these agencies, again, playing devil's advocates here, it's kind of like Wounded Warrior Project. It started off very, very good, and then it became an elitist organization that I can no longer support. But American people, this is a great organization. Again, go to Veterans for Child Rescue. If you have any questions and want to talk to Tyler, he had to run to the restroom real quick. Please let us know. We will shoot that off to Tyler.
As soon as he gets back.
Yeah, if y'all have any questions, let us know. But what do y'all think here in the comments about what y'all just heard along with us? I'm absolutely I'm pissed.
Yeah.
I knew it was bad. I didn't know how intertwined everything was, because this is my first time actually watching it all together. But Tyler's here. Let's go ahead and bring him up.
Sorry about that, y'all.
Oh, you're good. You're good, man.
So we were absolutely shocked. Again, I wasn't surprised. Planned Parenthood is involved. So all this stuff with what's going on with like diversity, equity, inclusion, this LGBT movement, ideology spreading across, all of it is from this one person and his sick, twisted brain.
And that's why we're trying to correct it. Alfred, the Kinsey Institute is still active today.
Yeah.
And that is crazy. I mean, it's insane to me. And I believe they even had a movie about Kinsey not too long ago, a few years ago. Liam Neeson played him, and he read the script, all that. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. It's sad stuff out there.
So I got a question. With the Kinsey Institute, obviously you are actively looking to tear that organization down, it sounds like. Are there any other organizations like Texas Right to Life or Students for Life, any other organizations coming out to expose this institution further?
There are some good organizations that are out there that are close to the Dr. Judith Reisman's work. She had another group that she was working with really close, and I believe they're doing some work. I'm trying to get out there to the East Coast to see a little bit more into this. And once I get out there, I'd like to see if there's a way that we can do something through legislation or what other types of parts that we can do to turn this around. So,
Marcia asked here, who's the woman reporting on Kinsey?
You talk about Dr. Judith Reisman?
Yeah, that was her. Yes.
She's no longer with us, is she?
Just to let you know, she passed away 2 years ago. Rest her soul, man. She was such a champion for the children and for all her years, and a lot of people got motivated by her work and being able to protect this. In my opinion, her work needs to be accelerated again. There were some things that she was working on that I want to look into.
Amazing. So did you ever have a personal relationship with her?
To be honest, no. But when she passed was about the time that something critical went on in my life, and when I joined Vets for Child Rescue, I had a feeling like her and God were pulling me towards this mission somehow. And I don't know how to explain that better than that, but
Yeah, the realm of God is very strong, and I don't really want to question that one myself
No.
on a lot of things. Marcia said, makes sense. It was financed by Rockefeller money, of course. I was like, of course it was. I was agreeing with you, Marcia. They were behind a lot of evil done to our nation. Absolutely. Absolutely. People are waking up, though, Marcia.
yes, they are. Finally. We need more people to come, though.
Yep, we do. We need them to
It's
actually
just the beginning.
get away from your computer, stand up, and actually get involved and do something. Again, Vets for Child Rescues, right down there. Go to their website.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Because what adult would make that conscious decision? Not very many. My mother had a drug problem, and she wasn't pretty enough to make any money. But I was. I really wanted my mom to love me. And I also didn't want her to be sick. So that's how it started.
When people talk about sex trafficking, it's always with the image of a young girl. But in reality, young boys are targeted to a disturbing degree as well. Horrifically, there's a national organization that specifically targets young boys. Its name is NAMBLA.
NAMBLA is the North American Man-Boy Love Association. It's a group of men that are sexually attracted to boys.
Bob Hamer spent 26 years in the FBI, much of it working undercover as a hitman, drug trafficker, international arms dealer, professional gambler, and pedophile.
I literally sat through a meeting with the members in which they discussed having oral sex on 18-month-old boys. I was able to attend two of their kind of top secret national conferences. Once I got to the meeting, I realized that it was more about celebrating your love for boys, where to go to find boys, how to seduce boys. It was those type of things that the members were talking about. Most of the men that I dealt with were high functioning individuals. I think a lot of us think we can identify who the pervert is. We think, oh, they hang out at the public park with a trench coat and flash somebody, but that's not what I ran into. I found that the men in this organization ran the socioeconomic gamut. One of the men that we convicted had a Corvette, and that was sort of his entree into the boys, because he would allow the boys to ride in his Corvette. They liked his car. It varied with each person, but it really is. It's a grooming process. I mean, it's similar to the dating process, where it begins with a glance, with a kind word, with a conversation, and pretty soon you've developed this relationship. One of the members was big into frisbee, and it allowed him to kind of come behind the boy to hug him and get close to him and show him how to toss this frisbee. They sought out that child that was seeking a father figure, and once they were able to identify that person, that's how they were successful in their seduction. I will only apply this to NAMBLA. I am not an expert I'm not a child psychologist. I'm not trained in psychology. But in my experience with NAMBLA, 3 years, not on a daily basis, but 3 years in the organization, participating at a high level, writing for their magazine, communicating with 165 members that were in prison, not one child was successfully targeted by a NAMBLA member that had a strong, loving father figure in the home. And one of the members told me, "You can never cure us, but you always tell the court-ordered counselors what they want to hear."
Hey, okay. Can you hear me? Okay. I did want to
Yeah, we
talk
can
a
hear
little
you.
bit. I did want to talk about the tactic that Bob Hamer was talking about. That tactic is called grooming. It's a tool that the predators use to gain access to children. So if you guys don't know that word, that is something that you should keep in your vocabulary is grooming. This is what predators use. So sorry, I just want to bring that up.
And that's
Yeah,
what they're
everyone
trying to bring
understand.
into schools now. That's
Yeah,
the
they're
kind of stuff
they're trying to make grooming like normal, and it's just this
Yeah.
whole slow march into allowing these sick bastards into having access to our kids. It's one small bit at a time.
It's kind of like here's a class on this. Now go to these people.
We just actually
You don't have to.
2 weeks ago a protest against NARSAL
Yeah, we did.
because they were sitting here trying to push legislation.
So, for those of you who don't know, NARSAL is a lobbying group that is trying to get rid of the National Sex Offenders Registry. Sorry.
Yeah.
Are you serious? I have not heard about this one.
I haven't either.
No, yeah, we protested them about 2 weeks ago.
Can you send me more information on this, Kim and Dakota?
Yes, absolutely, I can.
We can, and I've got videos of the protest if we want to bring that up real quick.
Yeah, I'd like to dig in on that.
Yeah. I'll get that up. Y'all keep talking.
Yeah.
Sick, really. I don't even know what else to say, but sick and something you'd see on a sarcastic cartoon TV series.
What's going to be absolutely disturbing about these videos is that the police were actually protecting NARSAL.
Yeah, so police were there defending NARSAL from us. And the thing is, I believe we actually talked with one of the people who was at that convention. All I could see was that they had a badge on saying that they were with them. And what they were there trying to figure out is what the heck we were doing there. It's like, we're protesting you from falling back in the shadows so you can have access to our kids. That's what we're protesting. Okay. It's not. And the thing is, this guy just had a dumbfounded look on his face on why would we be protesting this whole the abolishment of the National Sex Offenders Registry. Because here's the thing, the argument that they are using is that there's people on the Sex Offenders Registry that got put on there wrongly because they did something dumb and for public urination, something like that. There's already a process to get that taken off of your record.
I was going to say, I could kind of see that, but I could also, they don't have just a plain sex offenders list either. I mean, I know in the county next to us where we used to live at, they have to have a sign in their yard saying, hey, I'm a sex offender. My name is so-and-so and so-and-so, and by a code of so-and-so and so-and-so, I have to have this sign in my yard saying I'm a sex offender.
Yeah.
Right.
So we have, I actually drove through the parking lot, and I have the pictures of the police on it. There was one to the right there. And they were actually at the Marriott.
Yeah.
In hotels. To you right there. One right there. There's another one right there. And this whole parking lot
filled
with police protecting
pedophiles.
Yeah, all the front line right there. And there's the protest.
Sounds like somebody needs to take them hunting for feral hogs.
Yeah, absolutely. But it was people were actually paying attention on this because there were the freeway. It was along the 45 Gulf Freeway in Houston, and people were actually stopping on the freeway to look at this protest. A bunch of guys, patriots, protecting. Do you got the other video?
No, I didn't get another one.
And I'll just show you that real quick. So they were paused, and you see all these patriots just standing there with signs, to protect to stand up for children. A lot of people were driving by, but I know that I was standing in the back of where the cars were parked, and one guy did come out and try to cause trouble where the cars were at, because he did have a fire, and they started meeting up at the hotels. But
most people probably don't even know what the heck this is or what they're doing,
Yeah, they actually stopped and asked questions. But that's how many people stopped to protest Narsau. So, but people were actually flying in. One guy came from Miami to protest that.
We had a couple guys from Tennessee that actually came in. Yeah.
But we'll definitely get that information to you, Tyler, about Narsau. It's just like, I would say it's a derivative of MAPS.
Yeah, I think it's an offshoot of NAMBLA. I would say,
yeah.
It's possible. Yeah, I'll do some digging. I'll send it up to some people.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're gonna go ahead and get back into Contraland here.
If I had the ability to communicate directly to child traffickers and child predators, it would really be two parts. Number one, it destroys the lives of the children. It's not okay. If you try to tell yourself just because you're getting off on it doesn't make it okay for the victim, because I interview the surviving victims all the time, and their lives have been shattered. If you're out there, pray.
Hey, Tyler, that statistic has that was very, very disturbing to read those statistics of 30,000. I do have a question, since this border crisis has been just blown out of proportion. How have those numbers increased?
Now, I've heard, a lot of things that we've been talking across the industry for the last couple of years, about 38 to 50 billion. Ever since the epidemic there on the border, they're talking upwards of 100 billion or 150 billion just in the U.S. So
well, they already said, I was going to say, they already said they lost 80,000 kids.
Mm-hmm.
So wonder what happened to them. So, that shows you how easy it would be for them to do it, even coming legally through the border, and then 80,000 kids. Oh, we don't know what happened to them.
That's a BS excuse, and one child missing is way too many.
Yep.
So, in my opinion, this government needs to pull its head out and get their stuff together so we can actually start saving these children. Because I'm tired of seeing missing children, endangered children being raped. I apologize, but I'm tired of it. I really am.
I agree. And I these people that will sit there and decry that it's a racist issue, you're full of crap. It is a humanitarian issue, because if you're not going to sit here, I believe if we shut the border and honestly build that wall, it's going to deter the trafficking even further, thus saving lives. And I'm tired of sitting there. You can just sit there and be a selfish individual. Right? Well, if you give a crap about about people, you would shut down the border so children could actually be saved. Flat out.
Right.
Exactly. This is nothing political either. This should not be politicized at all. This is human rights, not.
Yeah, this shouldn't have anything to do with politics, race, age, obviously, because it's the kids that are getting brought in here. But I mean, I doubt that it's just kids getting sex trafficked in here, but it's still the same people doing it, you know. And, you know, I definitely agree on that there's kids being brought in for that kind of reason, you know.
Absolutely. You're right, Chad.
No telling where they're sent after that either. So,
well, we'll probably find out a little bit more.
All right, let's keep it going now. All right.
Preying upon the children, we're out there looking for you, and we're probably going to get you.
Go get him. Go get him.
The Viper team has discovered a spike in underage prostitution in a suburb of Guilford, Connecticut. Teaming up with local law enforcement, they plan to send a message to the pedophiles of the city. You seek out sex with a child, you go to jail.
We're going to head to the police station, meet the chief of police, along with the DA, liaison with them, coordinate, and map out exactly how we're going to operate together to get this operation done. Nice to meet you. Craig Sawyer. Nice to see you. Craig Sawyer. Pleasure.
Yeah, there you go. You know, there's multiple agencies helping out here as well. We're the only ones sitting at the table, but we have several surrounding agencies. We have the Madison Police Department, the Clinton Police Department, the Branford Police Department, the North Haven Police Department, the Milford Police Department, West Haven Police Department.
Fairfield also assisted us
spent 3 hours with us the other day. Yeah. So, you know, it's not just us, and everybody's on the same page with what we're trying to accomplish. So
I'm doing the background side of it as far as the legal aspects, the charges, what we think we have, and already been able to screen the stuff as provided in terms of the texts.
Brian Sibley is the local district attorney, the prosecutor. He will monitor the conversations and texts to determine at exactly which point the team can make an arrest. In most cases, they won't even have to wait for the perp to arrive at the house.
You know, but the second they start going past and starting to force and trying to walk past you or something, just give me the code and we'll come, or them. That'll be them.
If they step in there with this robe.
So yeah, if we can stage your truck, you know, somehow where it's kind of severing off the backside of the driveway, it forces them to park in that area, then it's only logical to go up on the deck.
yeah, the deck's going to be lighted.
Hopefully they might see the decoy inside the window anyway.
Yeah, if we know that they're coming up, then I'll be in the door and motioning in.
A woman working undercover is pretending to be the pimp, selling a young girl to men who are answering an ad on Backpage.com. Backpage is a virtual shopping mall for all things sexual, including access to underage girls and boys. Since this recording, Backpage is now illegal and offline.
Once all that's done, Matt's going to reset his team back at the house, bring the transport vehicle back and secure it back in the garage, and we're going to reset up for the next round.
All right, so we're off to go prep the target house that we're going to use for the operations, figure out how to hide the camera, the lay of the land, so to speak, and coordinate what we're doing there. I'd say it's so common that no matter what town you're in, that by now you could probably go within a couple blocks and find a victim or a perpetrator of child trafficking. Is that pervasive, and that many people finding out that they can prey upon the children and benefit from it? So it's very widespread.
After posting online ads for sex with a young girl, they received the first response within 15 minutes. Within 30 days, they received over 5,000 responses locally.
Good, come on in.
Law enforcement and the Viper team are at the ready. But everyone's concern is this predator armed? Is he violent? Is he a trafficker coming to kidnap the girls and run? Nobody knows.
What? Good. Nice to meet you. Brian, right?
Yes, sir.
Oh, can I get you a water, or do you want to start on the wine?
No, I'm good with the one.
No, you sure?
Yeah. I'll take a glass of water, though.
Yeah, have a seat. Is bottled okay?
Huh?
Bottled okay?
Craig and his team wait for Brian the DA to give them the word.
So what made you interested in this? Why'd you answer my ad?
I don't know. I'm a boring person. I need to do something fun with my life. All I do is go to work and go home.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do nothing else. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. At first, I was thinking it was kind of sketchy, but that's why I kept not hassling you, but I just wanted to make sure that I was all right, because
Right.
There ain't nothing in this world for my freedom, you know?
Yeah. No, I feel the same way. It's a risk putting an ad like that out on Craigslist.
Yeah, because you see a lot of, excuse my language, but you see a lot of crazy people up there.
Yeah. So I hope you don't mind that I actually invited somebody to come along.
Go on. How you doing, buddy?
You're here to party.
Not so much. How you doing?
Well, if you let me know what you got in mind, maybe I can be of assistance.
I don't know. I not really. Like I said, I get a little nervous, you know. And trust me, I don't want no problems.
No, I understand that. I understand a few more things too.
Yeah. What's like what?
I know you're into family play.
I did that one time with a cousin of mine. She got so drunk one time, and it was just like, oh. She came on to me, and I was just like, yeah, I'm not into it, and this, that, and the third. And then she started grabbing me and touching me or whatever, and I'm like, nah, bro, I can't. And then I got up with her, and then that was that.
All right. Well, what drove you here today? What made you decide, okay, I'm gonna come and do this?
Nothing. Just like I said, man, I'm sorry.
Keep your hands out of your pockets.
No, it's just my phone.
Yeah. Keep your hands out of your pockets and have a seat, please.
Okay. You know what? I don't even feel comfortable right now. And even when I first walked in, I felt a little awkward.
Yeah. Well, I think you felt awkward because you've been a bit of a bad boy.
Bad boy. That's the code word.
Yeah, and I'm...
Stand up right now. Hands behind your back.
Yes, sir.
Do it now.
Yes, sir.
Turn it. Anything on you shouldn't have weapons that's open?
No, sir.
Take it like you.
Yes, sir.
All right, stay right there. Turn and face me. Give me a search, please.
Yeah, nothing sharp on your picking, poking, shipping. Nothing in your pockets.
The first predator is taken away to be booked with attempting to have sex with a minor. He's potentially facing 8 years in jail, plus a $10,000 fine, and an average lawyer fee of $175,000. He'll be a marked man for the rest of his life, registered as a sex offender. The fact is, he was guilty of this crime before he even got to the house. But
Good.
V4CR operators and the police gave the perp plenty of opportunity to fully express his intent to have sex with a minor by letting this sting play out.
Statistically, we're learning that each child predator harms an average of 70 children each. Some of them, it's hundreds of children because they work themselves again into positions of authority and access, and some of them sadly never get caught. Others get caught very early on, so the average is about 70 children each. And so
Oh my
they tend
God.
to never stop.
That's horrible.
Wow.
As darkness falls and the temperature begins to drop, a second predator arrives.
take some water? Okay, keep your shoes up. Hey. Nice to meet you. So, hi, Henry and Greg. So anyway, get my seat. I'll get you water, okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
So how was your drive?
Cold,
Yeah.
but I like it, so.
Ugh.
What? What's wrong with the cold? Yes.
Gross. So, I hope you don't mind. I have a little surprise. I kind of took it upon myself because of what we've been talking about.
Okay.
I have a friend that is kind of connected in such things.
Yeah.
So I asked him to come over and tell us about some of the special deals that he could get us on, like more experiences like this. That's cool.
How's it going?
Hi.
I am someone who you can consider like your recreational activities director.
Okay.
I know a lot of people around here. You let me know what you're after. Maybe I can help you out.
How about we try this if I do end up coming again?
Yeah.
Can we do it then? Would that be
Let's
possible?
meet then. Well, I mean,
Well, I don't, help me understand. I'm not sure I understand why you're here. I don't want to miss out on anything.
Well, why are you here?
I'm here to help you, man. I'm here to help you find a 12-year-old girl, apparently. What was it that drove you to come and seek this out? I mean, I think I understand based on the communication, but
Yeah.
can you help me kind of understand your thoughts a little more?
I've been depressed for the past 2 years now, out of being secluded, alone. And really any form of communication kind of raises everything up.
If being depressed brought you into a
Yeah,
bad
little girl
place,
helps out.
what do you think it might do to a young child having sex with a grown man and having his left inside of her and her mother?
I don't think it would be good. But at the same
but you were willing.
Yeah.
You were willing to do that though to a 12-year-old girl.
I could say my depression took me too high.
I got to tell you, as somebody that does this, this was difficult for me to do as an adult. It was difficult for me to talk to you with the way that you were talking about my 12-year-old stepdaughter. And I do this all the time.
The entire ride here, I knew that I was making a bad choice in coming here, knowing that this is probably going to end horribly. But the fact that the sexual drive in me kept on forward. So I guess I just pushed everything to the side and just kept on going.
I think that because the fact that you've been a bad boy, that this is where the road ends for you. Just
Please stand up right now. Hands right to walk to me. Face me, hands behind your back. Not move. Face me. Can you bring it? We'll bring it. Yeah, we'll bring it. Not going to sit.
Good job.
Our undercover agents make themselves
Yeah.
targets for the predators online.
Hey, Tyler, I got a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
There's a lot of male and female involvement. How many female predators have y'all seen?
There's been a few of them. Like one of my good friends, his name is CP. He goes by CP. He was actually groomed by a female, and you know it's not as common as the other way around, but it is up there. And also on that statistic of the average predator abuses up to 70 children in their lifetime, that's 1 in 6 boys and 1 in 4 girls that are abused.
Yeah. I remember growing up and being taught that the statistics were lower. So I'm actually I've actually survived actual full-on sexual assault before. But my dad trained me afterwards. When the second sexual assault happened, he turned around and got assaulted pretty good. So, very, very big advocate in self-defense, ladies. I suggest that you get you a rape whistle and a 9mm form.
I've got a couple of questions on that one. When the guy walked in there, was that when they were automatically busted? I mean, when the guy walked in there and started talking to him, because he didn't sound very friendly, like he was friendly towards what they were doing, but they called him in there before they called the cops in there, before they arrested him. So,
Yeah, they try to get some information. You talk about Craig, right? When he came in and then started interrogating him. So what we're trying to do with that is trying to get some information out of the predators, so that way the knowledge can be passed on to people that don't know much about this, so that way they can better protect themselves.
but they already knew they were busted. It seemed like as
soon as they were busted right when they started messaging. When they started.
Yeah. I mean, but the predator knew they were busted whenever Craig walked in there. It seemed because he didn't ask, well, like he said, I'm your recreation director or whatever, but it was kind of like, okay, he sounds a little stern or whatever else you want to call it to be. Yeah. And then the other one was Kimberly was asking about female sexual predators. Well, would you find that most of the males were actually the male sexual predators were going after the males more than any of the at a much higher percentage than the females would?
I think I don't know the statistics, but I think females actually are still being the most sought out for. The males, are being sought out. Like I did an operation with Craig and the team in Phoenix at the Super Bowl, and I was a 14, 15-year-old boy as that went on, and I didn't get as much attraction as the other chatter did. She was acting out as a 14-year-old girl, but we still got a lot of information. And when we actually do these profiles, it doesn't take long at all.
Yeah,
I mean, within minutes.
I don't know what the new version is and don't want to know, but I know Backpage was one that went for all kinds of sexual predator, or you would find all kinds of sexual predators, everything from the child sex stuff to, hey, let's go do this tonight for $35. And then a man and woman be sitting there ready to pretty much steal everything you have, whenever you show up. So,
yeah.
I got a question. Is there a link between like their economic background or like their jobs? Which is there like more people who work in a certain industry more prone to this? Because I'm wondering.
To be honest, that is a good question. I would like to know that information out as well. But where I see where it's happening more is where children are more located. Where they have a position of power and authority, they can kind of control the atmosphere. So that's where I think the majority of it lies in. That schools, churches, Boy Scouts, that type of stuff. Where you got a bunch of adult and children interaction.
Okay, so it's again parents. From what you're describing, it seems like that's parents. You're the first line of defense on all of this, definitely.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then a lot of it looks like it comes from social media.
Yes, it's a lot. Social media has stirred up a lot. Like the numbers have grown astronomically since social media came about, because predators can actually hide behind a screen and they can get access to a lot more stuff. So, where your kids are at, those predators are at. Those apps, if you go onto our website, Best for Child Rescue, and look for those red flag apps, those are very serious. Like you got TikTok, Discord, Snapchat, the calculator on your app, on your phone app. There's a vault that's inside the calculator, and that's people do transfer stuff that way. So
Really?
yeah, you can learn more about it on our website.
Well,
but,
that was actually my next question. So thanks for asking that.
yeah, I haven't explored it really, but yeah, not that one. But yeah.
Okay. Well, any more questions, guys?
No.
You want to get back into it?
Yeah.
They don't have to work very hard at it because these predators are out there looking for their targets already. It's not really like going to a pond and throwing a hook in and pulling in catfish. It's more like going to the pond and dropping a stick of dynamite in there and they all come up. There are thousands of them that will respond, certainly hundreds within one night.
Okay, slow down a little bit because the road is going to veer off to the left.
The next predator made a mistake with his directions and has gotten lost.
It's way up. Listen. Will you both of you listen?
Realizing he's in over his head, he begins to panic.
What?
Knowing he's a repeat offender with a propensity for violence, the external surveillance team who's been tracking him decides to end this right there.
Get on the ground! Start the ball!
This predator chose to include a friend to give him a ride to a 13-year-old's house and felony sex act with a minor. What a piece of work.
Take those off, but when I want to watch you drive, so you just relax a little bit, okay? Just want you to calm down.
Can you tell me what happened, sir? Guys, can you get evidence officer to secure this stuff? Can you tell me what happened, sir? Can you tell me what happened, sir? Can you tell me what happened, sir?
Go back to the house.
I'm going to talk to you in a minute. What's your name?
This guy.
Speak up. This is your car. Clear for transport. Clear for transport. Make sure you call that mileage, all right?
And a repeat offender. And he knew to watch the cops following him.
Yeah.
The last predator of the night arrives, bearing a gift for the girl he's there to have sex with. A birthday cake for a 12-year-old who just turned 13.
Disgusting.
Yes, it's by the fire. What do you have?
A little treat here. That's for chocolate cake, right?
That's so sweet. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The predator also brought some lingerie for the girl and her mother to wear while they engaged in his perverted sexual fantasy.
Can I take you back now?
Sure. I'm glad we can get together tonight.
Yeah. So how are the kids?
Not too bad. Not too bad.
How old are they?
15 and 13.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So have you always enjoyed younger?
I've never experienced it.
Right. Like, is it something that you've ever been curious about?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Carrie, how old are you?
I'm 13.
13? And you just had your birthday?
Yes, sir.
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you. So we actually have them ready if you wanted me to go up and change.
Sure.
Yeah?
Sure.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. Hey, how are you? Good, good. Have a seat for me. Don't worry. I'm right over there. Just sit down. I'm gonna take off.
Bad boy! Bad boy! Hands right. See him right now. Hands up! Hands up! Hands up! Now behind the back. Do not move.
Well, that definitely answers the question of what they thought when he walked in.
Yep.
You're an agent. What kind of agent? A federal agent? With what agency? You have a weapon on you in your car.
He worked for the Treasury Department.
Oh my
Specifically,
God.
it was the IRS Criminal Investigation Division. The man had children of his own, And he showed up at the site wanting to have sex with a 13-year-old girl after just dropping his own children off. He was even so sick as to bring a birthday cake because he was told by our undercover agent that the girl was having a birthday. And so he was going to use this cake to help groom her.
Be safe, James. Have a good night.
Specific desires were. If this individual was with you, with your children, had seen your children, it could have been the same thing. If he's willing to jeopardize his oath to the country to the point where he wants to break the law like that, he'll do it with anything. In accessing these pornographic sites
That's
and
true.
dealing with child pornography on government computers, they're opening up our IT infrastructure to our nation's enemies.
Very much so.
The industry itself is run by criminal organizations.
So I will say this is that Department of Veteran Affairs here at Michael E. DeBakey, Houston, we did have an employee that was caught with pornography on a government computer.
Right.
Doesn't surprise me. Doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, it happens a lot.
Yep, it does. Absolutely. And I will say this is that to go back on him is that with one agency in particular, which is the second largest bureaucracy, which is the Department of Veteran Affairs, we've had people with drug convictions and arrests that were active open cases work in pharmacy when they're not supposed to work in pharmacy with their drug crimes too. The Department of Veteran Affairs that we've seen is that they don't actually check their background checks at all.
No.
Or they don't even run them at times. And they'll actually hire people and then run the background until they're pretty much caught.
Right.
And so this is actually a normal process within agencies within our government, unfortunately, what we're finding out on our end. So you can actually look, if y'all want to look at these reports, you can go to the government accountability reports, the VA OIG or just OIG in general, and you'll be shocked to see how many reports of pornography there is on government computers.
Oh, yeah.
Pornography, child pornography at that.
Yeah, you'd be amazed. You would be completely amazed.
Yep.
I think whenever they, instead of just yelling bad boy and everybody come in there and arrest them, I think they should say bad boy. And that means that's the sound for the dog, for the canine to go after and attack them.
So you remember that first scene at the documentary when that canine was going? That was pretty close to happening.
I know, I saw that.
And when I started uploading a lot of videos up on a social media site, and that was like the main comment, why'd you let that dog stop?
I had the same question. I have to give it to them. How calm, collected, they're cool, and allow the justice system to handle it. But here in Houston, it's catch and release on criminals. There was a guy that had been let out of the jail with 96 crimes, and he turned around and murdered a grandma. And it's just these sex offenders that are constantly coming out and reoffending. How do y'all, like, psychologically, since y'all know that's going on within our justice system, how can y'all sit there and just not want to do something right then and there because you know that might be let out?
What we try to do is call them out. You know, we've called out Houston quite often because that is one of the most, it's the biggest hub spot for child trafficking.
Yes.
And they are not doing as much as what they need to. I mean, there's people standing up, like Jacqueline Alato. She's working really crazily heavily down there. She's one of my good friends. She's doing some wonderful work working with the law enforcement down there. But the DA and stuff, that's where the issues are.
Yeah.
I
And then, I think a really good solution to be would just put them into Gen Pop when they go to jail instead of putting them into isolated cells and stuff. Because I know they have their own jails and stuff that they'll put all those people in.
This is what happened with the Harris County jail. Okay, there used to be different jails around Houston, right? And then Hurricane Harvey happened, and they
Yeah.
were supposed to rebuild those jails. They didn't. They just put them in the 700 building downtown, which even HPD used to have their own jail. They don't. They use county jail. They have, and then you had Lena Hidalgo come in and defund programs. They cut the police retirement. You know, these guys, there's no way that if you work for HPD, you can even retire at all.
Right.
So you are in the biggest trafficking hub, and I've known this for a few years. We were #1 in human trafficking here in Houston. And, you know, you can actually see it, Tyler. We've actually seen it under the bridges. There are under the 5969 bridge that hooks up into the 288. There's children under there in like the little homeless communities, but then they're taken between these buildings, and it's absolutely sick.
Gross.
You know, you can see they just throw the sexual paraphernalia on the ground, and it's right there.
It's sad, you know. I have a good friend. She works at Veterans for Child Rescue. Her name is Kim Kelly. Or Kim. And anyway, she was had to work those streets and stuff there in Houston, and it's crazy.
Yep. And you know, we know of one center where it's actually where they put a lot of these convicts right now because of the whole equity thing. They're actually putting them in community centers where veterans are. And so it's actually downgrading a lot of the veteran community. And it's horrible. I know where those buildings are. We were just at one on 4th of July.
Yeah, we
just
were.
saying. But you got.
Oh my God, it is pissing me off too. It's just I'm not surprised that there are government officials out there. I mean, how many people work for the government and get in these positions of power, like you were saying earlier, just to have access or have this level of trust with the public to be around their children, just to have access to these children? Like, is this their entire motivation for getting these positions and going into these fields to, like you said, childcare, working for the church, working in government offices, you know, places that, you know, are, well, at one time had a level of trust associated with them.
I've actually been looking into it. There's more and more teachers that I've noticed the uptick in teachers of getting arrested for sexual crimes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you talk about stuff like that, see, that's something else that I noticed here in Jacksonville is they would go on those stings like that. It might not be just for, a lot of them were child pornography stings. And you would be amazed at how many of them say former JSO or former whatever sheriff's office or police office this is from. So they never tell why they're former. But to me, that means that you probably have done this before and you got busted and was told to either resign or go to jail.
Right.
So they'd resign, you know. And so no telling how many of them officers are former officers for doing the same thing that they got busted for again in a sting.
So what I will address that. So the pivotal thing, what happened, it was under Obama, there was a Second Chance Act. So if you did have these records on there, you just got rehired by the government, and because you pushed on the equity stuff, that also opened up to a lot of possible hirings that were sexual predators as well within our government.
Not surprised.
So Second Chance Act was a bad idea. Ready to go?
Let's go.
My hands are so cold.
In many cases, foreign governments. Even the images that are passed can have embedded code in them, which will further jeopardize our IT infrastructure. We're talking about government agencies here, all the way from the Department of Defense, DEA, Department of Justice, the Treasury Department, the IRS. They're actually compromising those infrastructures to the point which makes it a national security issue.
As nice a man as he might think he is, putting him in jail is the best thing for him. There, he'll have time to get counseling and perhaps change his life for the better. The running, the hiding, the guilt will finally end, and he can get the help he needs. Brian, I have a genuine appreciation for the contrast, the difference of what we've gotten with you here and your willingness to face this, which is obviously a very difficult and tricky issue to face. It's ugly.
What we were trying to do is to basically rip that can off the ugly, top of the can off of the ugly, and say, look inside and go, it is ugly. And you got to reach down. You're going to have to get dirty.
Yeah, this sucks to face. It sucks to deal with, but it's got to be done. It's like cancer. You know, you can't wish it away. You have to address it. You've got to deal with it one way or another. And so it feels good to be part of the process of exposing it while uncomfortable. That's the only way that can really be addressed and put to bed. As we leave Connecticut here, I'm left with a sense that, man, this was an important first stepping stone in this style of joint operations between an organization of veterans and law enforcement to create a model that we can replicate to expand across the United States, to address this on a wide scale basis and really help put this pedophile nonsense to bed.
Well, at the time, I'm 11, 12 years old. Somebody approached me and says, you can actually get your own place in less than a week. And I thought, get my own place in less than a week? Are you crazy? I'm 12 years old. And the guy said, I can make you rich. He says, I know this man that lives up on the north side of town, and he'll pay you big money if you go and see him. I said, well, how old is he? At the time, like I said, I'm 12 years old. Well, how old is he? Well, he's 75. So that day, he took me in his car and we went up to this house. A butler answered the door. He ended up paying me $500. And the guy that took me up there gave me $50. And boy, I thought I was the richest thing in the world with my $50. I would say from the week I lost my virginity to the end, from Monday to Monday, I probably seen 15 guys. That's how it all began.
And she was getting $50 per guy.
Yep.
Thailand is known for its ancient ruins and ornate temples, but it's also known as the top
The red light
destination
district
in the world for sex trafficking.
Yep.
I definitely believe that.
While we were in Thailand, we learned that 7 out of 10 Westerners that step off of an airplane participate in the sex trade there in one way or another.
Craig is on a fact-finding mission in Southeast Asia, which has many of the oldest and most permissive sex trafficking countries in the world. He wants to find out how local anti-traffickers are dealing with the problem and how their solutions might translate to his work in the United States.
The sex trade here in Cambodia has been around for millennia.
Ted Olbrich is the head of Foursquare Children of Promise, one of the largest providers of orphanages for sex trafficking survivors.
The whole value of a woman is based upon their virginity. And once they become broken, quote unquote, which is the term that they use here, they are not considered marriageable. So that's a big issue. Then you have these women, they've come out of the countryside, and a huge percentage of the girls, especially, that grew up in the rural provinces were never considered worthy to educate. And so when the factories opened up, many of the workers that come in are illiterate young women, and they find that they can earn more money in that sex trade than they can working in a garment factory.
Về đây kêu cứ đâu nhưng cứ
ត្រូវថ្នាំសដងគេបាត់ហើយហ្នឹងគឺខ្ញុំអត់ដឹងថា
And that time she want to jump from the guest house to the ground floor, like when she want to kill herself.
Shanae was trafficked until she was 19. Her family didn't have enough money to feed themselves, so they locked her in a guest house and brought men to her there.
And sometimes she go out with for the sex, and they just pay her for $50. And sometimes the mother need the money, so she has no choice. Just go with the man and take $50.
Thankfully, Destiny Rescue is one organization that is doing something about it. Working closely with the police, their undercover agents contact girls who want to get out and then stage fake raids so no one suspects the girls are leaving for good.
Once we get the intel, obviously then it's passed on to the cops here, and then the case will start. That's what we're pretty much doing tonight, is trying to locate the miners, get as much information as we can, and then put a case together.
Armed with a list of girls who desperately want to escape, Destiny Rescue and the police strike late that night. The Destiny Rescue undercover agents' cameras capture the chaos as the police raid the club. The girls believe they're going to jail, but it's really a doorway to a new life.
I think tonight went really well. Got the girls rescued. They're actually getting new life. You just see it smile. It's great to see.
The raid was a success, but the learning curve has been steep.
So a lot of trial and error, you know, guns in our faces, fights in clubs, and just learning how to do things smarter and better to protect ourselves is where we are today. And we're in for the long haul, you know, like there's so many kids out there, estimated 1.2 million kids being trafficked. So, you know, it's a big job, and we're all committed to seeing it end. You know, we have to be.
After the raid, I wanted to know how some of these organizations helped the girls to get back to a normal life, and I came across a truly unique ministry called SWAT Ministries International, led by John and Chrissy Espy.
SWAT stands for Spiritual Warriors Against Trafficking.
The rescuers come from all over the world, a lot of them from the U.S., some are local. They're plumbers, electricians, fathers, brothers, regular people that aren't Superman, superhero. They don't have law enforcement or SEALs and background and stuff. So they need something while they're in, because they're not in the best of situations. They're, as you've seen, going into the backyard of the enemy's territory. You know, and it's not always safe.
You know, what we do is we come alongside organizations that go undercover to bring children from prostitution, from slavery, and we give them the skill sets that they need to protect themselves, to protect the kids, to do their jobs more safely and effectively.
Besides training current and future undercover rescuers, they also provide self-defense training to trafficked survivors, giving them back some of the power they lost.
Everybody has a heart for the kids. Everybody, has a burning desire to see these kids rescued, and I do as well. But my heart is really like, God just burdened my heart for is the guys going undercover, the rescuers. That's my heart is like, that's who that's my boys, and if anything happened to them, it would break me more ways than I could possibly imagine.
I learned a lot from running operations with Destiny and from SWAT Ministries International about how to take my team to the next level. And after a month of running joint operations with them, it was time to go back home and apply this new knowledge with my own team.
I grew up in a very sheltered household. Both of my parents were pretty successful. Just unhappy. I had a very low self-esteem, and I ended up running away from home when I was very young. And I met a 30-year-old man who asked me if I wanted to go to a party, and I told him yes. At the time, I was still a virgin, so I was innocent, and he took advantage of that innocence. I don't ever feel like I'm going to be the same. I feel marked. Some days I just want to sit there and just not be present anymore.
My wife woke me up in the middle of the night, crying, saying, "Oh my God, baby, it's Aspen. She's been raped." And I could hear Aspen screaming into the phone.
In March of 2017, I was held hostage at knife point and taken, and I was sexually assaulted over the course of around 5 hours.
As you might imagine, with my background and capabilities, I had all kinds of things rushing through my mind. And I got on the phone with my daughter to try to get her to stop and pull over so we could get sheriffs to intervene and react and respond to where she was. And she wasn't stopping for anything. She was hysterical.
This guy just came up to me and started talking to me, and that's when he pulled a knife out of his pocket. And he said if I don't do what he said, he was going to kill me. And so we start walking across the road, and along the way, he would stop and pull into like a lot and sexually assault me multiple times down the road. I knew I was going to die. He told me, by the way, like, I'm going to kill you. I just kept asking him if he could let me go. I was trying to say anything that I could think of. I was like, oh, I'll come back tomorrow. Even though clearly I wasn't going to, I was just trying to say anything that I could to just get him to let me go. After that, he actually walked me back to my car, and I drove home.
And so when we got her back, it was just a matter of deciding what we were going to do about it as a family.
My family did their best that they could to be there for me and support me, but I just felt like there was nothing that anybody could do to make what happened go away.
She was seeing demons in her room at night. It was giving her hallucinations. The doorbell would ring and she would start shaking uncontrollably.
I was scared to leave my house. I was scared to do anything, and I was having nightmares, and it was just horrible. I didn't even know if I wanted to even be alive, because the after effects on my brain was just, it was a lot.
This person didn't just rape our daughter. This person assaulted our entire family. We will never be the same.
He was arrested pretty quickly after. I can't remember exactly how long it took them, but it was within a few days. I was happy knowing that he couldn't do that to anyone else anymore.
Yeah, what our family has put through, I don't want anyone else to go through. Shouldn't happen. That's not part of who we're supposed to be.
What our goal is to take this really ugly experience and to do everything in our power to keep it from happening to another family.
Proactive,
No
not
family
reactive.
deserves to have this happen in their life. It's
Strong
never
word.
the same. Never.
Our family was tearing apart. We were just pretending that we were all okay. And then Aspen surprised us all.
I heard that they were going to be doing a sting operation, and right away I was like, I'm in.
I immediately declined the idea. I discredited it and threw it off. My own wife, whom I thought was on my side, said, Craig, you should let her do it.
When Craig first asked me about Aspen being a decoy, and he was really conflicted over it, I immediately knew it would take some power back.
And he was really apprehensive at first because he didn't want me getting into any kinds of trouble. We have to wear bulletproof vests because we don't know these people that we're encountering, and it can be very dangerous. And so he absolutely did not want me to go.
I don't think that my daughter should have to be in a place where she needs a bulletproof vest, ever.
But I said, no, I'm going. This is a way for me to take back my power and for me to look in the eyes of the predator when they're in handcuffs instead of the other way around when I was the victim.
I was like, oh, you little scrapper, you. Okay, so at the end of the day, I decided, all right, we're going to do this.
And so he said, all right, let's go.
Okay, we're stopping at the Parowan Police Department for liaison and morning briefing with them on our joint operations.
Good. Captain Carpenter. Hey, Craig Sawyer. Nice to meet you, Craig.
Very happy to be here, man.
We're happy to have you. Come on in.
As law enforcement, we're very concerned about children and children's rights, and making sure that we're doing everything that we can in order to take care of our citizenry. And this has been a great opportunity for us to be able to come in with their resources and give us the opportunity of being able to work with them to be able to take these perpetrators off the street. You know, I think that this is very important for our communities to know that we're progressive and very active in doing what we can in order to protect our communities.
We already knew that our operational template was effective. We knew that it worked. So we went in there with confidence, met with the law enforcement, briefed them on how we conduct our operations, and set up the house accordingly.
I'm 19 years old and working for the first time with law enforcement as a decoy to take down a bunch of pedophiles. An ad was placed in an underground website last week, and dozens of men have responded to it, eager to sexually assault a 13-year-old. It's scary, but it's important for me to be here. Every time there was a knock on the door, I got a little bit of butterflies, but I don't think it was necessarily from nervousness. I think it was because I was excited to take these guys down, mostly. And I was all in, and whenever the guys showed up, I was like, let's do this.
Take this left for the sledgehammer here.
No, take the right. I'm directly across. No.
Right.
Right. Keep coming straight, and then you'll take the right.
You can see my truck.
Yeah, I see you. You can just pull right up there behind my truck.
Okay. All right, Kelly. See you at the door in a minute.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right, we agreed on $100 to get him in the door. Alexa, play classical for focus.
Make him knock. You remind me of my grandpa. Hi, how are you?
Showed up in a suit, huh?
If you like, you sure can. Kelly, very nice to meet you.
Hug?
We don't get hugs. So let's take care of the $100.
Okay.
Awesome, thank you so much. So can I ask you to tell me, just a little bit about yourself?
Well, I am married,
Mm-hmm.
have a family.
Mm-hmm.
My wife and I are happily married, but haven't had any intimacy for years, although she's a very good woman.
Right.
You have just the two girls?
For now, yes, in this location. When we get back to the southeast, we'll have more girls, but these are the two that I like to travel
These
with
aren't
the most.
physically your girls then?
I take care of them.
Okay, I understand.
Right. Yeah.
I was thinking that it's your own daughters, but
Oh no.
okay.
They're like my daughters. I mean, they're my favorite girls.
Okay. So a half hour, I'd like them to choose which one's first,
Okay.
and then a half hour with the other girl.
Okay.
And then if things are going well, we'll agree on that right up front.
Right. And so you've already paid me the $100 for that.
Yeah. And then if everything's fine, then we'll do the two together.
Okay, and then that'll be an extra 50 at that point.
No, an extra 75.
Oh, look how honest you are.
Oh, that's nice of you.
You're very sweet. You actually remind me a lot of my grandfather, and he was a great, great man. I really.
Hello. Hello, sir.
Good, how are you? I'm all right. My name's Craig, and I run an organization called Veterans for Child Rescue. And we pay attention to what goes on with the kids. And I appreciate anything that you can share with me on your journey here. I heard a little bit about your wife and understand the lack of intimacy lately. And so I get that part of it.
Let me be very candid. I don't want any sex at all. I mean, that isn't my interest at all.
We'll wait for that.
Very happily married. Are you with police or something?
I'm not police. I run a veterans organization called Veterans for Child
I'm a
Rescue.
veteran myself. I was an officer in the service, military intelligence linguist.
Well, is there anything else you can share with me about what your understanding of the girls, of what your interaction with them, how that would have really impacted them? Did you consider that, or was it?
Absolutely.
What do you think? What do you think your impact on them is, as 13-year-old girls?
Are they both 13?
Yes, that was
Oh,
in the
well,
ad.
then I actually won't even interact with them if they're only 13.
Well, that was in the ad. That was something that we talked about and agreed on. Or no, I'm sorry, not in the ad, but in the text that we had back and forth was their age.
I didn't see that. So.
Sir, just please keep your hands
out of your pocket.
Keep your hands out.
Well,
for safety.
No, I didn't see that, but no, if they're underage, and then looks like you just made $100 and I'm on my way then.
Not quite.
Well, unfortunately, it doesn't work quite that way because you've been what we would refer to as a naughty grandpa. So.
Sheriff's office, show me your hands. Stand up, put your hands up in the air. Put your hands up in the air. Slowly face away from me. Face away from me. Interlock your hands behind your head. Interlock your hands behind your head. For your safety of mind, do not move. Do you understand?
Say it again.
Do not move.
Stay right where you are, sir. How come you didn't tell me the truth?
What did he say up here?
Military intelligence linguist, and now works in construction. So he's a veteran officer, military linguist.
When these guys would get arrested, I would walk up to them and I would stand a couple inches away from them, right in their face, and I would just stare at them.
She would just stand there, watch them turn from predator into prisoner. And she confided in me, Papa, I have to let you know that this has been more healing than any counseling I think could have ever been.
I got to reverse it, and I got to put these people in the position that they should be in instead of me. And they were powerless.
Right, Ruth? Absolutely.
They were being taken down.
Absolutely.
They were being hunted instead of me. They were not going to be able to hurt anyone else anymore.
Ultimately, it was the right choice. It was so beautiful to see her fight back.
You're my hero. That's everybody.
You're starting to become mine.
Woo! There are two basic working types of pedophiles. What we call gutter pedophiles. These are the individuals that you would normally associate with low-level street crime, people that you would picture in a trench coat hanging on a corner, trying to lure children in with promises of candy. The other are elite pedophiles. These are individuals that are in positions of authority or positions of community respect. We're talking about government officials. We're talking about police officers, judges, school teachers, church aldermen, people that you would trust your child to be with, that you have faith in. That's what makes elite pedophiles so dangerous.
Exactly, Kim. Exactly.
Okay, he's coming up the driveway, guys. Stand by.
She's still waking up. I was hoping to have the fireplace going because it's so cold, but it's broken. It's broken. I don't know. It just stopped working when I left. I had just talked to my army recruiter a couple weeks prior, actually, and then this guy shows up, and he's an army recruiter, and he has a wife and kids, and he had just dropped a kid off that he was trying to recruit, and then he came over to try to sexually abuse who he believed to be a 12-year-old girl.
Did you want that kind of lifestyle?
I've always been interested in it, but just never.
Yep, there's a lot of prostitution rings in the Navy. There
Yeah, there
was,
is.
especially on aircraft carriers.
I assume you're married,
I could believe that.
and so she's not into it.
No.
No. Have you ever talked to her about it or hinted or no? Just
So you know how she is.
yeah.
Military get double jeopardy, by the way.
Oh,
In
yeah.
case y'all didn't know that.
So he's going to Leavenworth and then
Yeah,
going
I
to
didn't know
regular
that.
school.
So
Yep.
Well, understandable. I mean, most people don't. It's not.
Yeah.
It was hard enough for me to find you, so.
In the people that we've arrested, I don't think that this is the first time for any of them. When you listen to their phone calls and the way that they talk and they act, this is something that I think that they've been doing for a long time. And they've really been leading a double life, and I've just always felt that they could get away with, and they don't care about their families any more than they care about these 13-year-old girls that they want to victimize.
Hi, Jason.
Hey, Tyler. I was thinking about this, watching this. So, I actually knew a chief that would prey on women in the military. And I'm just thinking about the children that this man produces, or these men, the families, once they find out. Is there like any kind of counseling for them? Because I know if my parent did that and I was a child, and yet he goes screws another child, I would lose my mind on that.
The familial trafficking is very rampant right now. It's the biggest. I think it's the biggest trafficking out there. Is the familial style trafficking, because they usually, the predator or the victim usually knows their predator. The majority of the time when that happens. So does that kind of answer what you?
Well, I was just thinking is that, it brings me to two questions. Do you think that these people are actually doing it to their own children?
Oh, yeah.
Or they are?
That was a question we had too.
Yeah.
Man,
So it's almost, because I could see the trauma of leading up to suicide, of one being assaulted by your dad, a parent that you trust, and then when you find out there's another victim,
Yeah.
Well,
and that he's gone around and done it to another person, I would lose my mind.
I just wanted to throw this out there that one of our old podcasters, Joey, that was on here, said one time, and he was talking about how porn influences stuff like this, and how many times if you go onto a porn website, the first thing that's probably going to pop on there is stepdaddy, stepdaughter type stuff, or stepsister type stuff. So it kind of shows, it's the adult male or female with the closest you can get to being a child and a relative or somebody So
Well, in Asia, there's the Lolita stuff. It's always dressing like little girls. That's a big.
One thing I've heard is like when like people that are porn addiction, they don't just stay at that low level of that intimate, whatever they call that type, they usually build up to where they go for the actual brutal type stuff. It's just saddening.
Yeah,
And
they just kind of hit the nail on the head on that. She said, point splits the human brain, and then they turn into serial killers throughout time.
I mean, I hate to blame video games, but I mean, another example of that would kind of be like
Grand Theft Auto
and stuff, and all these video games these kids started playing, and now it's real life to them, and they don't see the difference.
It's normalizing it. That's what it is. It's normalizing it.
It's gateways to porn is what it is. So for boys, it's super visualized through video games like Grand Theft Auto. You're stealing cars, you're having sex with hookers in these video games, and they're laughing about it. Now, for young girls, you have these snuff novels out there, like the big one when I was growing up was Twilight. Twilight was a book about a young girl falling in love with some vampire who's like thousands of years old or something. But they were having sex and producing children and everything like that. And the thing is, it is a gateway to pornographic material, and this stuff is rated to be used by children of their age.
Well, I mean, another example of that is my son's playing a video game on his phone. He's 9, just turned 9. He's playing a video game on his phone, and all these ads keep popping up in the middle of the video game. One of them, I just kind of glanced over and looked at it. That's this woman walking around, and you see them ads for them ones to where it's like the get on this side and it's plus 20, this side's negative 10 times 2. This game was like that, except for it was going to the club, and you would go by and grab this purse, and it'd make your butt get bigger. Or you would pick the wrong one, and it'd make your boobies get smaller. And this is coming up as an ad on a kid's game. Tell me that's not sexualizing stuff.
Yeah,
exactly.
We see it. There's a lot of it going on, even like apps like Pinterest. Girls will sit there and sexualize their kids, and don't even get me started about music, rap music.
No.
Look at these young girls twerking, selling themselves.
And here's the thing: those ads can run is because these pornographic production companies, or these companies that own pornography, actually have lobbyists in our nation's capital to press this stuff.
They try to press it
into our hotel rooms, into the internet, into YouTube, into all of this in order to give more money for pressing these advertisements into places where we see it most.
Right.
Yeah. And it's indoctrinated, I would say even in the leftist community, how many girls that I do know of, like, we shouldn't sit there and sexualize ourselves as women, but yet they're sitting there with that selfie and that boob pic because they know it works, they know it gets attention. And the thing is that we've never taught our generation, my generation before, that life is sacred, sex is sacred. And you have things like I love how she brought up Planned Parenthood and stuff like that. Is in the feminist movement. The feminist movement pretty much told women, hey, you can enjoy sex like a guy. If you do that, then sex isn't sacred. But now here's the problem where it's rape isn't being taken seriously too in society too, is that if you can just sleep around with anybody, wherever, whenever, is sex sacred at all? And does rape even matter? You can't have it both ways. You can't say rape, sex is sacred, and
that's a big thing going on.
I'm just trying to say that society in a whole.
That's a big war that's starting to go on now within society, especially on this leftist side versus the.
Oh yeah, because we had
Because it's kind of coming. Well, I mean, it's kind of coming to where you're starting to see these men that are like, well, what value do you have these women that are like, I know my beauty. I've slept with 1,000 guys and satisfied them all, but you have to make at least 6 figures, be at least 6'3", and be willing to take care of my 3 kids. And it's kind of like, what do you bring to the table? Because I can go out to the club and get the same thing you've got and go home the next day and not have anything.
That's the biggest lie, is that sex is not a skill. It's not a skill.
And guess what?
And it's
When
being
you're
sold as one, especially through Hollywood at
Yeah.
this time, because you have a lot of this whole thing that, you know, even YouTube, a day in the life of being a stripper. You are home. And there's no skill to that. And women are no longer encouraged to actually get a skill set. They're actually
they're taught to use their body as a skill.
Yeah.
You know.
Tyler, you got something.
Oh, I was just saying. Then you got that app that's going wild right now, which is OnlyFans, and people are just going nuts with that sick stuff, and it's saddening. You know, parents need to start acting as parents. You know, and that's where it starts.
Yeah,
you know,
both your mom
teaching-
and daughter shouldn't both be on OnlyFans. You know.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, and my personal life and my choice is this. That is a lot of the reason I am going to be homeschooling, because this indoctrination, sexual indoctrination started, I remember, in the 90s. We saw it. We had a pastor stand up, and he went national, and his name was Dr. Rick Scarborough, when they started teaching sex ed in classes. And he actually sat in on one of those classes and heard the actual sexual explicit. When you're teaching these sex ed classes, you're actually teaching kids how to have sex at the same time. And that's exactly what they were doing, because I remember it was a big faux pas for a teenager to be pregnant in my school, and most of the times they were just kicked out of school.
Yeah, they were kicked out of school at my school.
And then, you know, by the time graduation was over, or I was in college, I saw that, oh, we now have childcare at high schools. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
No. Well, it should not be normalized. This isn't normal.
Exactly.
You know, marriage is sacred. Sex is sacred. Having children is sacred. It has to be sacred. That's how we sustain life, period. Oh, anything else, you guys? I kind of went on a rant. This is I'm doing a meditation watching this.
I know.
Is there any comments in the comments section that need to be answered?
Oh, just a lot of people just
Well, it's just not really a question. People are just pissed. They were just pissed, man. I mean, get some of these. Gail, sick bastards.
Yeah.
Another one of our kids in the group.
So.
Man.
Yeah.
Oh, good gosh.
All right.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Everyone's agreeing with it or just pissed.
No, I have questions. It's just like, this is just wrong.
So here comes Ruth. Highly sick. And then illegal was caught and stabbed himself when he tried to arrest him and set patients on fire. Oh, wow. We apartment on fire. Illegal set an apartment on fire.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. We gosh. Let's just get back into it. I don't have any words on this.
No.
It's just so bad.
All right.
Yeah, I agree.
But it's needed to know information.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm Craig Sawyer. I founded a Veterans for Child Rescue organization. I pay attention to what goes on with kids. That's why I'm here.
Ooh.
Can you tell me why you're here?
Just interested.
Yeah. I understand you got your own kids. I've looked at your Facebook page. Look like fine little young people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you'd want them protected as I would.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, what was it, Jason, that you were looking to do with this girl here?
I don't know. It was for her, but
I think I was pretty clear from the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I've got all the transcripts. I mean, I know everything that's happened. I was deeply disappointed because in the back of my mind, I was thinking, my gosh, there are countless fallen heroes buried in Arlington and all over the rest of the world who have given everything honorably and sacrificed for our country and for others selflessly.
Wow, he did that in the Govy too?
How many good people you're dishonoring
Wow.
with your behavior. What's wrong with you? You
What's
think,
wrong with you is
that
right.
This behavior reflects honorably upon the U.S. Army?
No.
I'm a veteran too. I think I can understand how that would be looked upon.
Yeah.
So I think it's unfortunate that you've chosen this path. Tell me about your kids, man.
They're 7 and 4. Both doing great in school.
Yeah. Have they been involved in any sex with adults, you or anyone else?
No.
Would you want them to be?
No.
I gotta ask you, man, what draws the line for you between you coming here and my 12-year-old daughter and your own children?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's the scary part is I don't know either.
That's the way it's got to go, Jason. Unfortunately, you've been a bad boy. That's where it is for you today.
Sheriff's officer, show me your hands. Please stand up. Stand up. Walk towards me. Face away. Slowly go down on one knee. Put your hands behind your head. Cross your ankles. No, keep your hands behind your head. Cross your ankles. For your safety of mind, do not move. Do you understand? Look to the left. Yeah, got it.
I have more disdain for those who abuse positions of authority than anything else. And I think that they should be judged more harshly even than the other predators, because
absolutely.
there's a position of public trust that is abused by some of these predators. That they work themselves in a position as a judge or a chief or a teacher or a coach or something that we traditionally want to give respect and credibility to, and sadly the predators work their way into those positions.
You know, their families are as much victims as these children are. They're not thinking at all about how it's going to affect their families or anyone else until we come up out of that stairwell and they realize that they're under arrest. And one of the things to me that's been really quite heartbreaking for me is to have to call their wives and say, we just arrested your husband for 2 counts of child rape. And it's very heartbreaking for me to have to tell them that their husband is a sexual predator.
My gosh, he's supposed to be serving and protecting. He's got kids of his own. He's got the responsibility to protect the little ones. And so if our officials are in on it, we've got a problem.
The sexual exploitation of children has increased exponentially. For instance, between 2003 and 2006, it doubled. It doubled again between 2006 and 2008, and then it doubled a third time from 2009 to 2013. It used to be that when we arrested a pedophile, we would find images that he was dealing in, maybe 100, 150. Today, though, we're up to 150,000 that we routinely find, and they go as high as 1.5 million. Why so high? Because they use it to trade. They use it to invest, and they sell those images to other pedophiles. Yep. This is a growing industry. That's why it's making so much money globally, especially here in the United States. The child pornography being watched is being performed by somebody. There is a perpetrator that is committing the offense. There's a child, which is a victim. Whoever is watching that pornography is facilitating that child's rape. It's criminal. It's evil.
Absolutely. Disgusting.
Hey, good. Come on in.
Sorry.
Give me just 1 second, please.
Sheriff's officer, show me your hands. Please, put your hands in the air. Stop right there. Put your hands in the air. Put your hands in the air. Get them out. I want to shake the dog. Turn around. Turn around. Go down on, put your hands in the air. Go down on one knee. Go down on one knee. Go down on the other. Interlock your fingers behind your head.
Being there with the law enforcement and the PIs and actually getting it done, and it was so empowering, and I finally felt the power that had been taken from me. I know that I have a long road to recovery, but after what happened to me, I can't look away. I will keep fighting against the exploitation of children, and I will keep fighting for a positive change.
That's one courageous young woman.
Yeah.
Courageous. Right there.
We remove the branding tattoos that are forced on victims of sex trafficking.
Hmm.
A lot of these girls that are trafficked, their pimps will brand them to show ownership. It's a sign of ownership. And so they come here and we either lighten and remove them, or we have affiliates where they can go to get them covered with something beautiful. The tattoos can come in a form of a name, a symbol, numbers, dates, crowns. It all signifies the ownership of the pimp. Some do get branded with hot knives, some on their genitals. I have a daughter that was sexually assaulted, and I seen the trauma that she went through and magnify that over and over again. It keeps me driven to do this. A lot of these girls are trafficked at a young age, 11, 12, 13, 14 years old.
God
It
bless
is
this
such a
woman.
manipulation. They're seeking something that maybe they're not getting from home, or maybe they were bullied in school, the foster care system, instances like that. And these men know how to groom them. They're called Romeos or groomers, and they will say and do anything to gain their trust. They will even have dinner at their parents' house as the boyfriend to gain their trust. And once the trust is there, it's over. They go to a different state, or however this particular person does it. I feel anger, sadness, the whole thing. I try to give grace and forgiveness. And when we see these girls, a lot of times they're just happy, silly, and you wouldn't know, other than that we do know. And other times they're so traumatized, they're either angry or mean, even towards us, me and the technicians, or they're sad and quiet. And when they start to open up after we've known them for a little bit, the stories are something that the general public will never even imagine could happen. And I get angry, I get sad. There's days that I lose sleep. The ultimate goal would be to end my business, but for now, we're doing about 500 procedures a year, and we like to get in every single city in every single state to offer what we do, because it's not laser. It's a lot safer, and it can be handled much easier. So we'd like to be in every state and every city and have technicians everywhere. So when these girls are ready, and sometimes boys, when they are ready, we can help them remove this painful past.
Wonderful woman. Outstanding.
V4CR has built a coalition of nonprofits and non-governmental organizations, or NGOs, each addressing a different aspect of the child sex trafficking problem. Sold No More focuses on education and prevention, equipping children in schools with the knowledge of how to avoid falling victim to child trafficking. SWAT Ministries International is an NGO that trains volunteers to rescue children from traffickers and helps empower survivors with self-defense skills. Soul Survivor Inc. removes the branding tattoos from survivors to help them recover their own identities. Veterans for Child Rescue exposes the threat through creative media campaigns and directly combats child sex trafficking by running joint operations with law enforcement to arrest predators. The Rancho Milagro Foundation helps bring healing to trauma survivors in a unique manner by using equine therapy. Aspen Sawyer has received healing at Rancho Milagro. Our comprehensive coalition does more together than each organization could do by itself, each using its unique gifts and skills to help overcome the trauma of child sex trafficking.
Wow.
Wow. It's that's powerful stuff. The depravity that some people have, that I don't understand how someone can look at a child and
I don't
have,
either.
yeah, I don't get it.
And
the thing is,
I'm just
I'm glad that I don't get it.
Just thinking of that though, I was looking up while we were watching the show, and I looked at a news station in Waco, just because I'm from Waco. One of the top headlines is local man pleads guilty to attempted murder, human trafficking, gets 25 years in jail for attempted first-degree murder and 4 attempts of sex trafficking. And then there's another one in Waco that says Waco man sentenced to prison in sexual assault of runaway 13-year-old after probation is revoked. So he got probation for sexually assaulting a 13-year-old, and then after 19, whatever you call it, of his, 19 things on his probation, he finally got prison.
So I have a question. I grew up in I would say a government ran trailer park. And I noticed versus the private parks and everything across the street is that I did see the cuts. And I was actually warned about them. And then I looked at the Epstein stuff of also women trafficking other women. Because what would happen is a pimp would move in, and it was this girl named Shauna. He got her first. Then he went, and Shauna would introduce Nicole to him. And then it went to Sandra. And there was these 3 girls that it started with one girl, and she trafficked the other girls to him. So I saw that with the Epstein stuff. Mm-hmm. And, Shauna knew what she was doing. And what I don't understand is that the girls that start trafficking the other ones, yes, they're victims, but do they ever also get in trouble? Because when I watched the Netflix documentary of these other women trafficking their friends, I'm like, you're just as guilty. You did the same thing, so I don't really consider you much of a victim there, honey.
Well, a lot of it probably starts out them in the same position, and they're like, hey, I can help you. You want to make $1,000 a night?
Well, yeah,
that's actually very true there, Chad. I've ran across a survivor who actually had to do that type of work, to survive, and she was forced to do that.
Some like the Epstein girls weren't forced. I'll say
yeah,
that.
Yeah.
But, I know that one of the girls actually left, Nicole, and she got a different pimp, and she was actually forced. And I remember my dad, telling me, when I was a kid, you see something wrong, you say something. And we went late at night, and we pulled her out of that house. And it was so funny is that she had one of those tattoos where she actually ended up being owned. And she did get it removed later on. But they would buy them though with, this expensive jewelry as well. It was all materialistic goods, and they were selling. It would give them, she would describe it to me, it would give her a high for a little bit, just, you see, a diamond ring or something like that. And then when reality set in, it didn't matter again. But I just don't, I'm wondering is that, are the girls that, have a choice, are they getting in trouble for it? Or are they also being seen as victims? Because the Epstein documentary made them be seen as victims too.
I didn't see the Epstein documentary, so.
Yeah.
But
it kind of happens both ways.
Yeah.
To be honest. And just so much of it happening in different types of areas too. There's different types of trafficking. You got labor, you got familia, sex trafficking. You just got so many of it, and it's just the capabilities of what are happening to these victims is just ridiculous at
No,
how they.
I could see a lot of it too, like that 12-year-old girl they were talking about that, oh, she was making $50 per head, I guess you could call it. And she did 15. She's 12 years old and just made $750 in one night. Well, she's got a 14-year-old friend that doesn't want to live at home or wants to run away or whatever problem she's having.
Right.
She's good friends with. He's like, hey, I can get you in on this. Then we can make $750 a night. And then it's kind of like a chain that goes. And then the 12-year-old by that time might be making $150 a night because she might be 14 by then too. And it, you know, kind of like what they were saying in Thailand and stuff, you know, that woman's not marryable, you know.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to want to marry a woman that, because, you know, what's your body count? I don't know, 2,000? You know?
See, a lot of that also, I would say, comes down to parenting. I was raised with a mother and a father in a home, for one, and I was taught that I was sacred. My body was sacred. You know, if you were going to give away the ice cream for free, ain't no one going to buy the ice cream truck. So, and that's not instilled in women today. That it is instilled, especially in minority communities, a false narrative of that to give yourself away is female empowerment. To have sex out of wedlock and produce a child is a strong, empowering woman. And it's just not true. It's absolutely not true. I mean, look at Madonna. She pushed sex for so long, and do you think she's happy? Oh my gosh, she looks like a crazy.
That's something you hear a lot of people trying to talk these younger women into now that that are like 40 now or 50 now that did behave wildly whenever they were teenagers and saying, you know, y'all are 10 times worse than we were, you know.
Right. Well,
we didn't send nudes to everybody, and the most we'd do is go and flop our boobies out at Mardi Gras and stuff like that. Maybe get drunk at the club or something. Not, hey, we're going and having a gangbang after the thing, and we're all recording it all, and, you know, we're going to get tons of TikTok viewers from this, you know.
Exactly there, Ruth.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, parents got to be parents, and you know, we got to start raising our children right. And you know, it takes all of us to come together to make this change. You know, there's a lot of great organizations, there's a lot of great individuals that are standing up and making a difference for this, but we still need all the help that we can get by doing this as well, because it. You know, doing these investigations isn't cheap.
No.
It costs about 10 to 15 grand per operation, depending on where it's located at. You know, we don't pay the operators, we don't pay the people. We pretty much, that's the housing, flights, travel, all food and all that stuff. So that's what we utilize our funding for, and trying to ramp up more operations. And if there's people out, I
was going to say, and then you have to get enough evidence on them in that time to get a conviction on them. And then, like that guy I was just talking about in the news that got, you know, sexual, whatever you want to call it, of a 13-year-old, and he's on probation for 2 years. Give me a freaking break.
Yep.
Exactly.
You know? And then I'm sure there's certain states that y'all couldn't really go to because they're not going to convict, like California. I could see California totally letting people off on that. Michigan, like I was talking about, you know, I mean, they're out here in the streets doing it. What you should be arrested.
Yeah. And the thing is, Tyler, if you could just tell us the best way. What is the absolute best way that we can help from anywhere? What
really, you know, to start talking in your local communities. You know, talk to each and every one that you interact with, because you know, that's how we get the message out there and all. You know, if you want to be able to help us out as far as like what we need, our needs, you know, we need law enforcement, DA connections, people that will actually prosecute, legislation connections, congressmen, senators, everyone's got to start, you know, we're all around the country. You know, we can start connecting to our representatives and start getting these meetings going. You know, you have to do it in numbers as well. You know, it takes.
We don't like talking personally here on the logbook. We don't like just talking about it. We actually like to handle an issue.
Yeah, and the thing is, I would see the thing is, what it seems like is that there's an issue with funding in the local police area, and
Yes.
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
so I would think that the first step is to visit your local police station and talk to these people who are in charge of these crimes, these pedophile crimes.
I would even go as far as getting union involvement, police union involvement,
Yeah.
to push things as well. But that's something plan that we'd have to discuss at another time, guys, because it is 9:41 and we are over 40 minutes on our show tonight. We do appreciate you so much, Tyler. Please come back. Keep us updated. If you need anything, please let us know. Chad, thank you so much for coming on tonight as well. We do appreciate your input on a civilian perspective usually.
No
Thank
problem.
you very much.
It was nice seeing you again, Tyler. And like
course, hey,
Kim said,
Kim.
you're the speed tonight. So
Kim, Chad, and Dakota, I appreciate you guys' time, and I appreciate you being able to meet up with us and be able to, have a good discussion on this documentary and figuring out ways that we can all get involved in protecting our youth. So thank you for that, and I hope you all stay blessed and have a good weekend coming up.
Yeah, thank you so much, Tyler. Guys, we will thank you all for joining us tonight. We really appreciate all of you that tuned in tonight as well. We will be posting the links for Veteran for Child Rescue on our social media pages this evening after this show is over. So again, thank you everybody for joining us, and take care and God bless.
Y'all take